Programmet presenteras av betsafe.com.
Hi and welcome back to MMA Nut and Studio MMA, and this is Marcus Korva with two guests from Tapout, Scrape and Punkaz. Now, I believe most people can understand why your name is Scrape. Where did you get your nickname from?
It just kind of one of those high school things that just stuck with me. It's tattooed inside my lip, so.
Was it tattooed inside your lip before the nickname, or did you nickname?
Yeah, no, I got tattooed in my lip, and then it kind of just stuck as a nickname. Because, you know, in high school, nobody really has tattoos, so I just, and it just kind of, people just started calling me that. I don't know where it really came from.
Today must be his lucky day. You just said that we were the same height. Somebody said we're the same height.
That was me.
We were sitting here. Look at.
Yeah, we are.
Shit, we're the same.
You look about the same height.
Look like this. Even. I gotta squat down a little bit.
Now we're in Sweden. We're in Stockholm. The UFC for the very first time. Swedish fans are hyped. It's an historic moment. You guys been there since day one. When you started out, did you foresee all this?
I think when we started, we knew the sport was going to be huge all around the globe. We didn't sit there and say, "Oh, we're going to be in Sweden.
Right.
We're going to be in." Yeah, Sweden really wasn't on our map, but we knew we would be in all these different countries. We knew we'd go back to Japan. You know, I don't know if we thought Australia, but, you know, we knew that globally we would go everywhere. And everywhere the UFC goes, I mean, they're doing a phenomenal job. They coming here. I heard that the fight sold out in 30 minutes, 16,000.
Yeah.
Was it 3 hours?
Yeah, but still.
You know, I mean, that's great. So that shows how big this sport is and how much it's growing for it to sell out that fast and its first time here.
Now, Tapout in the US is almost, you know, you see Tapout, you think mixed martial arts and the UFC. You see UFC, you think close, you think Tapout. That's how branded you are. How big are you in Sweden? How well known are you in Sweden?
Well, I think we still have a long way to go. I mean, everywhere we have a long way to go. In the States, we've done a pretty good job. But outside of the United States, I would say, and even inside the States, we're just nonstop. We're never satisfied with what we've done. So, people are, you're all over the UFC. Aren't you happy about that? Well, then we're trying to figure out why we're not all over, soccer, which they could call one of the biggest sports in the world. Or, we went over to Australia and we watched some rugby and we were like, man, this sport's pretty crazy. Why aren't we all over this? Because it's just you can't ever be satisfied with where you're sitting if you're going to grow a company, especially Nike. We talk about Nike doing $30 billion a year, and we haven't broke $1 billion yet. So how can we be satisfied?
It's terrible, absolutely.
And I'll say this: you brought up you said something that made me think of it. We've always thought of ourselves as, it's so co-branded with UFC and Tapout. People always say they see Tapout and they go, "Oh, that's that UFC stuff."
Yeah.
Well, we now are officially the lifestyle brand of the UFC, the apparel brand of the UFC. We did a deal with them where we can now, on hang tags, when you buy clothes, we are the official lifestyle brand, clothing brand of the UFC.
Congratulations.
Thank you. But before it was just, we were so branded with the UFC that
people sponsors of the
we were
UFC
just a sponsor.
at the time.
So people just thought, they see it so much hand in hand, side by side, that they think, oh, UFC, oh, that's Tapout, that's UFC. But now it's a deal where we officially are now the official.
The officials? That's
officials, that's right.
It's great.
It's official.
Now, we see Sweden being, all hyped about the UFC. Yeah, you know the fighters, and you've been there since day one, and they're in Vegas. They can't walk anywhere without people coming up asking for pictures and autographs. And same with the two of you. And now Sweden isn't there yet. Have you been out in the streets? Do people recognize you? Do they come up to you?
Mostly fighters, but you expect that. It's 15. I mean, we remember 15 years ago in the States where people didn't even know what the UFC is. I mean, we still walk around today and you tell somebody about mixed martial arts and they I've heard of it, but I haven't really watched a fight before. So the sport. I mean, if you really think about it, officially under Zuffa, it's only been around for about 10 years. That's like talking about U.S. baseball in 1900. It's like we're so early on in the sport that we have to wait 100 years before we see where the sport really can go. Even though it is growing fast with multimedia and the way social media and the way how fast things travel, and with the sport's growing faster than any other sport in the world right now. But I still think we have a long way to go, and a lot of other countries to get on board. I mean, the biggest countries in the world, China and India are still, we still got to catch them up.
Even some of the biggest, New York. It's not even legal in New York yet, so
right.
It's still a long way to go.
It's not even legal in every state in the United States yet. So if we're talking about for a sport that was basically born in the United States, officially as a sport anyway, it's not even legal in every state yet. We still talk about how far it has to go. So I think Sweden will get on board. It's nice to see them, pretty much early on too. I mean, how many countries can we talk about that we've had a UFC in? I think it's exciting to say that Sweden's one of the early ones. I look forward to seeing. I've just heard about some fights that have gone on in India, some official fights going on in India. So it's exciting to see. I want to see, when do we go to India for a UFC?
Dana White's friend Ken Pavia is doing some fights over there.
Yeah. His boy over there is doing fights. Yeah, Ken. Goodness, but those fights that are going on in India. To have a UFC over in India, or there's probably 5 or 10 places I'd love to see some UFCs being held. So the sport has a long way to go, and I think Sweden's right up there with it, and it'll catch up. It'll catch up to the States as far as exposure goes.
And you said a long way to go, but you also you've been there since day one, and about 15 years ago. Give me one each, most craziest, most outstanding moment in the UFC history that you were part of.
We just did this on our radio show.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I think I went with the Ultimate Fighter finale, just because it was
first one.
Yeah, the first Ultimate
Forrest
Fighter
Griffin
finale.
versus Stephen Bonner.
Yeah, because we really sitting there in the crowd. We were sitting front row, and Dana White's right here to my right, and I can remember thinking, it's probably the one time I can remember thinking UFC 40 with Shamrock and Tito Ortiz, and that moment I can remember thinking, we're about to see something's going to change for us right now. Like, the world's going to change. We didn't understand what that meant right there at the moment, but I just remember thinking that this is the craziest moment in our lives right now. And then we found out as we left, my website guy, or our website guy, called me and said, "Hey, what's going on? Because our website is about to shut down."
Really? Handle the traffic.
Yeah, they couldn't handle the traffic coming in, and it literally shut us down on the spot. And we had to, our credit card company shut down. Everything that it was like it was a bad problem, but it was a great problem for us, and it changed our lives. We went right there. We went from being a regular company to being a multi-million-dollar company overnight.
Because in that event, we had Rich Franklin wearing a camouflage T-shirt with a big white Tapout logo on it. Diego Sanchez wearing a shirt. Diego's father in the crowd wearing the same shirt that Rich was wearing.
Right.
So
we had logos on the mat.
Logos on the mat. Then it was live.
We were sponsoring the show, so it actually showed our logo during the show. And a lot of people don't know that, but we really we didn't pay for that. That was
something the Fertitas did.
Yeah, it was something. It was our first show, and it was kind of something that was given to us so that we would come on board for the next Ultimate Fighter, and because they really didn't have a sponsor for that position,
right? And
so they gave us that position to encourage us to sponsor the next year, and of course we did, because. What are you going to say after that change? That literally changed the landscape of our business. And so we became an official sponsor of the Ultimate Fighter the following year. And we've just been, every year, our business has increased 300% every year since then.
Now that's so basically you're growing in symbiosis with the UFC. I like the part with the website shutting down because StudioMMA and MMA Net, that happened to us a little while ago for the same reason. It was too much traffic. So you're saying I take that as a good sign for us as well, right?
It's definitely a good thing.
Good
Although when it happened to us, every piece of furniture that was in the office went either through a door, or when the door was knocked down by the furniture, it went into the parking lot.
No, it was.
That was Punk Ass?
bad.
I think I know why you got my nickname Punk Ass now. We're gonna break for a commercial. We're gonna break for a commercial break. Unfortunately, not by Tapout as of yet, at least, because they're not sponsoring us yet. But I'm sure will come here in Sweden. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Thank you.
Programmet presenteras av betsafe.com.